Hey YouTube, today's video is about EV news. It's all about the latest in the Chinese market, focusing on Lexus, the high-end Japanese car brand. Right now, its sales numbers are dropping fast. The latest update covers July's sales figures. So why are Lexus's sales falling so rapidly, and where does this leave me when it comes to Lexus? Looking into the future, sales may decline even faster. I'm predicting a significant reduction in the scale of sales, including the reasons behind this. Let me explain. But first, let's talk about Lexus's parent company, Toyota. I'd like us to take a look at this chart. It's the latest from July 2023. It shows the monthly sales in China. Toyota, indicated in green, has seen a decline, as you can see. July's sales have significantly dropped compared to June. We're talking about a drop of about 23,000 units. Clearly, sales have dipped. It's the same with Honda. Even Nissan's numbers have fallen. Toyota's plunge in sales is quite a surprise given its past performance. Certainly an alarming sign. In July 2022, Toyota achieved record sales. Look back a year ago and it's a different story. A total of just over 200,000 units were sold. It was a historic high for Toyota's sales in China, but now there's a 34% drop. That's a big loss year on year. A decline that was frankly inconceivable. Such a downturn in sales is quite a problem. It's not just Toyota. Honda and Nissan are in the same boat. The decline affects all Japanese car makers. Sales of Japanese brands in general are rapidly falling off. We've focused on it a lot here, so we won't go into detail today. Now let's talk Lexus. Today we're focusing on this luxury car brand. It plays a key role in Toyota's profits. It's quite important, but it tends not to do well globally. That being said, when it comes to Lexus, it plays a vital role. Globally, it's an upmarket car brand, but it doesn't seem to do as well in the premium segment globally. It's noticeably underperforming. This chart here shows the story. Starting from 2019, the annual sales for premium segment brands. Looking at brands like Tesla, Mercedes, BMW, and Audi, these numbers are for sales volume. Let's take Audi. For Lexus, it's not doing as well. In 2021, its sales volume was much lower compared to others. For 2022, sales reached around 625,000 units. That's far less than the likes of Tesla, Mercedes, and BMW. Quite frankly, it wouldn't be a surprise if Lexus's sales are particularly low in China compared to the other four brands. This may hint at Lexus struggling particularly in China, which is more visible when compared to the overall global situation. Lexus holds roughly a quarter of the sales share compared to the German trio. It is clear that Lexus is particularly struggling in China, which is clear from this chart. Can Lexus recover the loss in sales? That's the focus now. Lexus needs to regain ground in the premium car market, especially against Tesla and Mercedes, which have increased sales and equal stakes in the market. Let's see how much Lexus can bounce back in 2023. That's something to watch closely, considering Lexus' struggle in this trend. Another concern is dropping sales in China's car market. The sales evolution of Lexus is seen here, starting from 2020. These numbers are sales figures in China, clearly different. In China, not only are Tesla, Mercedes, and BMW operating, they are on par with Lexus. Tesla is popular in China, and so are Mercedes and BMW. Lexus is clearly losing. This chart makes it clear that Lexus is particularly struggling in the global market. It's quite conspicuous. Lexus lags behind the other four companies, especially in the Chinese market. It's about a quarter of the other brands. It's clear that Lexus is struggling in China. That's the global total. It's about a third of the sales share. The Chinese market particularly has low sellers. So we see how Lexus is struggling in China. You can see it in this graph. It's about China's domestic situation. This chart shows the annual sales numbers from 2016. Keep an eye on it. Look at the far right side, 2023's first half. Lexus sold about 70,000 units in the first half. In 2022, we sold 176,000 units. It seems they can't surpass last year's sales. It looks Lexus's peak sales were around 200,000 units annually. Considering that, usually it'd be weird if they hadn't sold around 90,000 units in half a year. Thinking about it, Lexus is having a tough fight in 2023. That's what you can see here. Particularly, the worst thing is the sales number in July, the latest month, was 15,972. This clearly shows a drop in sales compared to the same month last year, 22.5% down. So Lexus has hit a bit of a snag here. They're being pushed into a tough situation in China. You can see it in this graph. So why is Lexus struggling so much in China? We mostly look at it from about 5 viewpoints. Let's connect the reasons they're currently and will continue to struggle. The first one is Lexus's best-selling SUV is beginning to not sell at all. That's the point. This graph shows the vehicle model sales in China. These are the sales numbers by type. We want to look at the popular NX and RX models. First, the pink indicates NX. In July, it only sold 1,700 units. This is down from the previous rate of 4,000 to 5,000. Furthermore, the light blue RX was supposed to sell at a monthly pace of 5,000 units, but it only sold around 3,000. Both are near half the original sales volume. particularly for the RX, which just went through a model change and has not even been a month. It's stabilizing at 3,000 units, which is not good. Clearly, the demand for NX and RX is decreasing. That's the first point. And the bigger problem with NX and RX is their plug-in hybrid vehicles are not selling at all. The NX has a PHV option, but only sold 47 units in July. It's pretty much out of the question. The RX has been on sale since May. There were no registered sales in July. There's a reason, but it's unclear. The month before, in June, it had 340 registrations. The RX's total sales are around 3,000 to 5,000 units, so about 1 in 10 is a plug-in hybrid. They're not selling plug-in hybrids in a market that's hot for them. Considering that, it's clear that plug-in hybrids are not selling. That's what we see. Next, the third point is that Lexus's sales are still hanging in there because of the ES and their mid-full-size sedans. Their ES sales in July were 9,850 units. About 15,000 unit sales volume, which is a clear majority of their sales. So really, Lexus in China is surviving off the ES. The problem with the ES, however, is the ES's sales have dropped to 9,850 units in July from about 15,000. They've been up on one foot with the ES. Lexus hasn't been selling too well in China. With the ES sales dropping, their situation is only getting worse. About this ES midsize sedan, there are competitors. They're rolling out new models till 2024. That's the point. That's what worries me. Firstly, it's from the Avatar brand. Right now it's the Avatar 11. They're selling SUVs. A sedan version is coming. Then there's also the thing with BYD, a luxury car brand. Even from the Denza brand, they're releasing sedans too, I heard. That too. Sales might be tough, perhaps. Of course. They're already lined up. There's the Neo's ET5, including BYD's Han, of course. Even for ES, can they sell in the tens of thousands? The units sold, how many can they keep up, right? The situation's starting to look shady, I think. Okay, fourth point. Again, like Lexus and others, Japanese manufacturers' battery EVs aren't selling at all. That's the big point. Since we're talking about Lexus, let's just focus on Lexus. Right now, Lexus has 2 battery EVs on sale. First, we have the UX300E, around 100 to 200 units/month. That's where it's at. It's not selling at all. In 2023, maybe because of a model change, I guess, starting from January, 128, 135, 80, 144, 1730 units. Sales have really tanked. So after this model change, how much can they grow sales? I think it's going to be tough. I think we need to watch this. And then the RZ is the issue, the new RZ to be precise. July sales, just 443 units. Sales have dropped for 2 months straight. This RZ, after all, it's a 300,000 yuan SUV, right? So these 300,000 yuan EV SUVs, they've totally become inferior cars. Specifically, Zeekr 001, Denza N7, Avatar 11, and the IM Motor LS. There's no end if I keep going, right? A little more. Such powerful battery, a powerful battery sector. They're being released one after another. What a struggle. I don't think the RZ can live up to the hopes in reality. At first, it sold about 700 units. That was the first delivery portion. I think they were test cars. Sales have already dropped. So the real demand for RZ, probably even lower than this. That's the concern, I guess. That's part of the midterm outlook's uncertainty, I think. And then, in the long term, the growth of Lexus is hard to predict going forward. So, Lexus is launching new EVs, right? And they'll be competing with rivals one after another. For example, the new GX and LX, which are already being delivered in Japan. In China, they're starting to be delivered too, competing head-on. As you may know, Toyota's competitors in China are strong, like BYD. BYD is a luxury car brand, right? They've already announced the Denza and Yangwang brands, and also the Fangcheng. They specialize in off-road SUVs and will probably keep releasing new models. They launched a new brand, Fengcheng Bao, with their first EV being the Leopard 5. It's an off-road specialized SUV and a direct competitor to the GX. There's also the LX, with rivals like the already announced Yangwang high-end brand. The U8 is another fierce off-road SUV and features a motor in each wheel. It packs BYD's latest electric tech, and we think it'll compete in the Chinese market for sure. With Land Cruiser in the mix too, can sales really be sustained? BYD is clearly targeting them. They're aiming for a tough market, which makes it harder for domestic sales long-term against BYD. It might be tough to win, leaving us somewhat pessimistic about Lexus's future in China. Lexus is facing headwinds in the short, medium, and long-term, and it's hard not to see it as tough. In the short term, sales are down to only 70,000 in half a year, which will definitely be less than 2022. That'll affect Toyota's profits in China this year, making things even harder for Lexus. So we can see this affecting their business, right? But in the medium term, the new GX and LX will try to turn things around against BYD rivals. However, it's tough with BYD aiming at them directly and the ES also having strong sedan competition. Considering all of that, it's hard to see the new lineup increasing sales much. In the long term, Lexus's sales may shrink and they may have to cut back on some models. They probably won't retreat, but it's hard not to see the brand becoming more niche. With fewer models and a shrinking market, they just might have a hard time competing. Lexus might have to focus on a small, cult-like following for some high-end cars like the LM or LX. They'll likely have a narrow lineup with specialized vehicles for a niche audience. Though this might be pessimistic, looking at China's EV trends, Lexus has a hard time competing. How much can Lexus keep up its sales or not collapse in the future is something to watch. That's why we think it'll be hard for Lexus to fight in the Chinese market. We'll have to keep an eye on Lexus's sales performance and how much they can maintain. Keeping that balance might be essential, so we just wanted to share our thoughts on this.
So, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give me a like. And please make sure to subscribe to my channel. See you soon.